You think too much. Even when there's nothing left to think about, your mind doesn't slow down. Keep spinning, digging into things that don't need to be solved. You walk into a room and replay something you said a week ago. You stare at the ceiling at night, wondering if you missed a signal, a detail, a mistake. This is not just thinking. This is spiraling. People tell you to relax or let it go, but they don't understand that your brain has its own rhythm, and it's relentless. There's no switch, just layers and loops. One thought turns into 10, and those 10 multiply. It doesn't matter how tired you are. The moment you're alone with silence, your thoughts begin to scream. You sit in meetings or classrooms or cars, nodding along, pretending to listen, but part of you is trapped inside, replaying the tone of your voice in a text message, wondering if a pause in conversation meant something more. Did you interrupt? Did they hesitate? Was that look in their eyes a judgment or just your imagination again? You play out entire conversations before they happen. You try to preempt disappointment by imagining it first. You think that if you're ready for the worst, it won't sting as much. But it still does. And the more time you spend predicting pain, the more you detach from the present. You're not avoiding hurt, you're living it early. Sometimes you think about something that didn't even happen. A fake argument, a future rejection, a scenario your heart hasn't lived through, but your brain already has. You think you're preparing yourself, but really you're exhausting yourself. Even joy feels fragile. You smile, but you're bracing for when it ends. A compliment feels good, but you wonder if it's real, if it's a setup for disappointment, if they'll change their mind when they get to know the real you, the anxious, uncertain, spinning version of you. This noise lives in the background of everything. You could be with friends, smiling, laughing, but in your mind, you're wondering if you said something wrong, if they really like you, if you even deserve to be there. You're scanning for micro-expressions, dissecting every word they say, searching for proof that your fears are valid. Even love can feel like a test, a thing you have to earn over and over again. Overthinking is invisible, but it's loud. It shows up in missed sleep, forgotten meals, headaches from clenching your jaw all day. It whispers doubts when you're at your most vulnerable and yells fears when you're trying to rest. It doesn't look like a wound, but it bleeds into every part of your life. Most people don't see this. They see someone quiet, maybe thoughtful. They don't see the mental gymnastics, the battles fought in silence. They don't realize that what looks like normal reflection is actually a storm, constant, unyielding, and often uncontrollable. You're not just overanalyzing. You're caught in a cycle that steals your peace, your energy, your sense of self. It feels normal because it's always been there. But that doesn't mean it's healthy. It doesn't mean you have to live like this. The inner noise isn't just a personality quirk. It can be a sign of anxiety, obsessive thinking, even trauma. Mental illness doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers in the form of everyday behaviors until you start to believe that exhaustion is just who you are. But it's not. And it doesn't have to be. Your body can feel fine, but your mind is dragging. Overthinking is like running a race with no finish line. You wake up more tired than when you slept, like your brain worked overtime while you were supposed to rest. You're not just mentally tired, you're emotionally worn out. The constant mental rewinding and rehearsing leaves no space for peace. You go through the motions of your day, functioning on the outside, but inside you're foggy, drained. You replay conversations, analyze glances, rethink decisions. You edit your past like it's a script you can rewrite if only you could go back. But you can't. So you keep looping, trying to find a version that brings you relief. Your energy doesn't come from rest anymore. It comes from distraction. Music in your ears, a show playing in the background, endlessly scrolling on your phone, snacking even when you're not hungry. Anything to drown out the inner chatter. For a moment, it works. But as soon as things get quiet again, the thoughts come back, louder, sharper, more relentless. You smile when you're supposed to. You laugh at the right moments. But while your face performs, your mind is scanning everything. The tone of someone's voice, the way they looked at you, a sentence you said that maybe came out wrong. Are they mad? Are they bored? Did you embarrass yourself? You don't want to care, but your brain won't let you stop. Even around people you trust, you feel the weight of being too much or not enough. You're constantly checking yourself, as if being liked depends on perfect behavior. This isn't just stress. It's silent exhaustion, a kind of tired that no nap can fix, a loneliness that exists even in a crowded room. You reread texts, not just once but over and over. You're not just reading words. You're searching for tone, for subtext, for hidden meaning. You look for punctuation, for the way something is phrased. Did they use a period? Why didn't they use an emoji? Were they being distant or just busy? You draft replies, then delete them. You write the same message 3 different ways before hitting send. Then you check if they've seen it. If they haven't, you wonder why. If they have, you wonder what they're thinking. Did you reply too quickly? Did you say too much? You rehearse conversations that haven't happened yet. You anticipate questions, plan answers, imagine possible reactions. You do the same with conversations from the past, replaying them with edits, different choices, better lines. You think of what you should have said, what you could have said, and somehow the regret feels just as real as if you were reliving the moment. You remember details most people forget, things others say in passing, subtle shifts in tone, glances that lasted a second too long. You notice patterns. You overanalyze them, not because you're fragile or dramatic, but because your mind is always alert, always scanning. It holds on to things like your survival depends on it. And sometimes it feels like it does. Overthinking isn't just a personality trait. It's a behavior that's been rehearsed so often, it becomes instinct. A way of trying to feel safe. A way of trying to stay ahead of pain or rejection or failure. It looks like stillness, but it's a storm. It looks like being thoughtful, but it's fear wearing a calm face. Fear of saying the wrong thing, of being misunderstood, of not being liked, of being too much or not enough. You try to catch your thoughts, organize them, solve them. But they multiply. You think too much, and then you think about why you think too much. It becomes a loop, a habit, a part of your daily rhythm. Invisible to others, exhausting to you. You're not trying to be difficult. You're just trying to survive the noise. And most days, that invisible habit feels louder than anything else. You call it normal, because it's been this way for so long. The spinning thoughts, the late-night worry, the endless replays and rehearsals. It's just how your brain works. You assume everyone lives like this, but deep down, you know they don't. You've seen people shrug off mistakes, laugh things off, fall asleep minutes after their head hits the pillow. And you wonder how. What would it be like to carry so little? To live without the constant mental weight? Sometimes you envy people who forget, who don't obsess over every word, every silence, every missed cue. People who don't analyze themselves into paralysis, who can walk away from a conversation without unpacking every moment, who trust that they are enough without needing to prove it again and again. It looks like freedom, and it feels far away. But maybe the goal isn't to become like them. Maybe this thing inside you, the overthinking, the emotional intensity, maybe it's not something to fight. Maybe it comes from care, from depth, from wanting to understand, to connect, to do right by people. You feel everything, and that can be heavy. But it's not weakness. It's awareness. And awareness, though exhausting, is also rare, also beautiful. Still, you deserve peace. You deserve rest. You deserve to breathe without feeling like you owe the world an explanation. You deserve to exist without having to earn your place in every room. You don't need to be perfect to be welcome. You don't need to be silent to be accepted. You can pause, even if the world doesn't. So maybe tonight, when the thoughts come back, and they will, don't fight them. Don't chase them. Don't try to solve them all. Just notice them. Watch them arrive. Watch them leave. Let them pass like clouds drifting through a vast sky. You are not your thoughts. You're the space they pass through, the observer, the quiet awareness underneath the noise. Maybe just for tonight it's okay to stop running. Maybe it's time to pause and just breathe.